It's been a long wait, but Proteh and Solart's follow-up to last year's incredible Horde Mode PC mod for Doom Eternal is finally here. It's called Trial of the Dark Lord, and it's a step up in nearly every way. It even starts with its own cute little cutscene. This mod uses some of the best fight areas from the ancient gods, remixing them in original and very challenging ways. Like the original Horde mode, you start with only the combat shotgun, and you're feeling the pressure right away with bloodmakers and possessed fodder demons with no way to kill the spirits. As each stage progresses, more weapons are given to you, and the challenges keep changing. One stage has fog and buff totems, another has turrets that spawn enemies when you destroy them. We've got giant arenas filled with possessed archviles. Yes, possessed archviles. There's a timed escape section in the dark and fog. We've got optional mini-games for bonus items. These guys are really just flexing their muscles at this point. Separating the large sections of content are some optional platforming puzzles utilizing the meat hook. If you complete them, you'll get a 1-up or 2, which are quite valuable. You may actually want to use the extra life support rune while playing this. These puzzles contain hints that you can activate, which are much appreciated, as not everyone is good at meat hook platforming. And if you don't want to figure out a platforming puzzle, there are portals you can walk through to just skip it and go to the next fight. It's pretty great. One of my favorite non-arena sections is the timed platforms in the Halt. We all know these from the DLC, but now you have to stay alive on these things for 2 full minutes while waves of cacodemons spawn in the air. It'll test your knowledge of air movement, your management of dashes, swinging with the meat hook, using the energy shield to protect yourself from the instant death pit below. Just a really fun and creative encounter. A very important change to note is that between each fight there is a checkpoint. If you played the last Horde mode, you'll remember that it was basically just try to make it as far as you can until you die or beat it. That design has been thrown out for a checkpoint based one that honestly serves this mod much better. There's a lot more to deal with here, and if there were no checkpoints it wouldn't be very fun. There's always Ultra Nightmare if you want it. One of the star battles of this mod is probably the Malagog Fight. Oh, if you could have seen this thing when it was in beta last year. I was not a fan. But now, it's perfect. The right mix of enemies, zombies on boxes for meat hook opportunities, jump pads and temporary portals, an appropriate checkpoint system. And if you thought this arena wouldn't also have the boxes, you're wrong. They definitely show up and it's crazy. The chaos of this fight is a lot more fun to deal with now, and I love it. The enemy balance is exquisitely put together. When a tyrant shows up, it feels like a big deal. When a bloodmaker shows up, it's just the right time to shake things up. When a couple marauders show up, you're gonna get bopped around. They also love putting marauders and bloodmakers together. It's an awkward fight that really throws off your groove, and I like that stuff. I like when something comes along that makes you think and move differently. Trying to focus on a marauder while a bloodmaker is planning his projectile attack creates this awesome sense of tension. You see a lot of that in what is probably my favorite fight in the mod, the Halt Pillar section. This time, the hazard pillars are raised the entire time, and the enemies like Marauders, Bloodmakers, Hell Knights, and Whiplashes, these are all enemies that force movement out of you, which makes you have to be super aware of your surroundings so you don't die to the hazards. You'll want to get airborne when you can. Practice jumping with the meat hook. It's very easy to get swarmed on the ground and then you'll get bullied, possibly stun-locked. Eventually, a countdown starts, which leads to the pillars lowering, so you finally get a break from all the chaos on the ground. And then of course they spawn in waves of cacodemons. So good.
Oh my god!
I'm also a big fan of this Totem Room in UAC Atlantica. There's 3 buff totems protected by force fields, and the only way to deactivate them is to shoot the targets. It seems pretty simple at first, and as the fight escalates it gets harder and harder to manage them. My assumption is that the best strategy is to deactivate all the totems at once to give you a long period of relief, but hey, maybe I'm wrong on that strategy. Every time a target becomes active again, a prompt comes up telling you about it. At first I wasn't sure why, because I just kept getting these series of prompts telling me the same thing. I thought it was bugged. But no, every time a totem reactivates, you're notified. And if you're shooting all 3 targets in a few seconds, they'll all come back at the same time and you'll get all 3 notifications consecutively. So just be conscious of that. You may have a section or two where you're not really sure where you're supposed to go, so it's good to turn on objective markers and mission information if you have that stuff disabled. There is no BFG, Unmaker, or Crucible in the entire mod, so you'd better make sure you're ready for pain. Ultraviolence is already very challenging if you don't know what to expect. This mod is made for people who know how to play this game. When the game starts, your active runes are Air Mobility, Equipment Fiend, and Dazed and Confused. Honestly, not a bad choice to start with. The most difficult fight of the entire mod, rightfully, is the final arena. It's cruel. Multiple waves of Archviles, several possessed Revenants and Whiplashes, and not just them, there's gotta be like 10 possessed demons in the whole fight. Thankfully, you don't need to kill the spirits, they disappear on their own. That was a smart decision, because you just can't focus on them due to being harassed by all the buffed imps and gargoyles. Buffed fodder demons with no buff totem to destroy. Of course, there are Bloodmakers and Tyrants and a Marauder and Spectre Pinkies. It's absolutely insane. I spent an embarrassing amount of time trying to get through this thing, and it's gonna take some of you a long time just to get to the checkpoint. There are some more surprises to discover on your playthrough, so I don't want to show anything more. This thing even has boss fights. Proteh and Solart have really outdone themselves here, and you can sense how confident they felt as they put this together. If you want to install this, and everyone should, I'll put the instructions in the video description below. It's the same setup I explained in my latest Brawler Mode The Ancient Gods video, just with the Horde Mode file instead. Thank you for watching, and thank you Proteh and Solart for a job well done.